Hey guys, in this episode this week we're going to be adding the ability to automatically reset your scan parameters after we're finished back to what they were when you opened the program. This would be great if you're scanning multiple directories, or if you're scanning multiple files one after the other. If you do this at the minute, you'll notice that the scan results stack and the number of files will stack, and just doesn't look very professional. And at the same time, we'll be adding the ability to automatically save the exclude files and folders and exclude extensions. So we are up to episode, this is 9, I believe. Yes, 9. And we're doing pretty well so far. Episode 10, we've got an absolute great update for episode 10. But we'll talk about that more towards the end of the show. So first of all, we're just going to jump in and we're going to change a few of our graphics again. So we need another checkbox, and this checkbox is going to be used later. And we will change the caption first. So we're going to change the caption to auto save and load exclude. And we're just going to drag the text bit out, and we're going to leave it checked for now. Right, so now we're going to come down and rename it to auto save and load excludes. Right, so we'll be using that later. We're going to set it on program or on form close, which would be you closing the application to save the exclude settings. You could also get it to save the database automatically, but we'll do that in another video, or you guys can just do it on your own. It's not very particularly hard. Just need to call the function save. So here is our exclude, and we have our menus up here from last week where we were playing around with them, and you could add file extensions to exclude and add folders to exclude. So we're going to jump into the code, and the first thing we need to do is we need to add a new unit. And in our new unit, we are going to save this as excludes. We're going to call it exclude manager. And I have spelt that wrong. There it is. There you go. And we're going to need a few things to begin with. So we're going to need the Windows, we're going to need sysutils, we're going to need classes. Yeah, we need classes. And we're going to need common controls. Have I spelled that wrong? Yes, okay. Right, so we're only gonna make one procedure to load and one procedure to save, as they both only have the caption we want to load. We're just going to use the same function. So we're going to have load, save, exclude, and we're not going to save these in the same file, purely because you'll get mixed up, and it would be a lot more complex a function to split each one based on whether it was an original file or an original folder. And as this is simple, we're just going to keep it simple. And we need a file path. So we're going to need a few variables. We're going to need I as normal. We'll be doing a small loop. And we're going to need a temporary file again. And this is going to be a t-string list. Now we're using a t-string list again because it's easy. It's not the most ideal of things to use, especially when it gets really big. But for the current configuration we have this in, it should do just fine. So we're going to do a for, and our low is going to be 0, and our high is going to be we are saving, so it's going to be our list view count. So we're going to do custom list view dot items dot count, and then we're going to do a begin. We are going to do a begin if I can spell it correctly. So we're going to do a begin. We're going to move these out so it looks right. And we're just going to do temp file dot add. Now a lot of you will recognize this code. It's the same code we used for our database, or the current version of our database. I have had ideas on changing it. We might have to start a new series to change it because it's getting away from the simpleness that I intended. So now we've done our loop, it's simply adding each one to the file, and then we're going to do temp file dot save as a file to file path, file name path. Yeah, it's kind of getting away from the simpleness that it was originally, and I'm debating whether to start another set of episodes where we completely rebuild it into more of a product that would fit better. It's a bit difficult for me to describe. At the minute, there is a certain number of flaws with this if you were to use it in a real world application. One of the biggest is that it runs as a non-privileged user. So if the thing you are trying to delete is running as administrator, you're going to get loads of red tape. It's going to say, nope, you're not allowed to do that. And this is I would find it quite easy to overcome. However, I don't think it would be that simple. People that know me know that I would find it simple, and everyone else would lose where they were instantly. So we're now doing the load function. Similar again. Why have we just done that twice? We're doing the load function, and the load function is going to be extremely simple because we don't need to split anything. We don't need to split anything because there's only one string here, and the one string is going to stay as one string. There's no need to take it to pieces. So we're going to do temp file dot load from file, and the file path, so file name path, is our variable we're storing it in, and then we're just going to go straight into a for loop again. We are, if it wants to do one. And once again we're going to start at 0, and we're going to go, this time we're going to use the temp file dot count, which will give us the number of lines we have saved in here. That'll be the number of excludes we have. We're just going to do begin, and we're going to do our custom list view dot item dot add dot caption is equal to the temp file dot string, and then we give it I, which gives it the current string. We're now going to come down here and we are going to temp file dot free. That's going to get rid of our, I don't know if there's a temp file dot close. No, there's a clear. So we're going to let go of our temp file, and this should be nice and straightforward and just work straight off the cuff. I haven't tested it this week. In previous episodes I have tried a few different methods and then gone with the simplest and usually the one that works, or the one that works well. So now we have our reports. Now we have our excludes manager, and we have our two functions, and we are now going to come over to our main form, and we are going to come down and click up here where it says form 1. Form 1 is the form name. We're going to come over to events, and we're looking for on close. So on close is an event, and this event is simply you closing it. So what we're going to do is we need to come up to the top. Now we'll put this here, do this, and we need to include our excludes manager. And I've spelled it wrong. Yep, I've spelled it wrong over here. And there you go. Alright, so now we've declared the unit we want to use. We now need to scroll down this side and find our list views, and we're just going to go for the quicker method and click on them and see what they're named. So this is file extension LV. So we're now going to go back into the code side of it and go load. Actually, we're going to do an if file. We're going to do an if file exists, because we don't want to be loading something that isn't there. Then begin, and we're going to need 2 of these because we have exclude extensions and exclude files, like that. So we're going to do an if file exists, and then we want to do a save excludes. Is that what we named it? Yeah, save excludes. And I've spelled it wrong in here as well. It's funny that being dyslexic. Once you get one thing into your mind, you just use it all over the place. And that's fine if you're the only one seeing the code, because then no one notices. But when you do this sort of thing, you soon figure out that everyone is going to everyone might get lost if you start renaming things, and things don't work properly if they're not spelled correctly on here. So we're going to do that, and we're going to give it a default path, and we're going to store this in our configs file. Now up until now we haven't really used our configs much, and we still have things in here that we no longer need. So we're going to call this default exclude file extension. And this is simply going to be a file name. So exc file ext, which stands for exclude file extension .dat. And whilst we're here, actually we're just not going to bother put default in there. We're just going to call it exclude file extension. And then we're going to have exclude file folder, which is our other one. So exe file folder .dat, and we're going to use these two as our default path. Now we're going to store these in the current directory. So as we can see here, we need to put slash in. So we're just going to copy that. I'm being lazy. And we're ext or exc file ext. Yep. No. Have we got config declared in here? We do not have config declared in here. Alright, and that's got rid of our error. So where were we? Here we are. So it's now going to check if that file exists. And if that file exists, we're going to copy this because we want it to load. And give it that file. If it doesn't exist, it can't load it, quite simply. Now we're going to paste this in here, and we're going to change this to folder, and we have our other one. So we can indeed copy this. However, we do not need to check if this actual file exists, because it should save anyway. We do not need to check if this file exists. So we should just be able to delete all of this, other than the end. We want the end. Do that. Because we don't actually care if the file exists. Because we're attempting to save it, not open it. So move them out. Hit save. This is where you could add here, save database. Actually, that is what I'm going to do. We're going to do if file extension list view dot items dot count is greater than 0. Then we're going to begin. That way, we are not saving an empty file. That was what I was looking for. We need to now find out what the other one was called. The other one is called file folder. So if file folder lv.items.count is less than 0, is greater than 0. Now hopefully, after all of my ranting, you guys have figured out why we're doing this. We're doing this simply to check if the if there is anything in the list view before we attempt to save it. So if there's no files, if the number of items is less than 1, which would mean that there's 0, we don't want them. We don't want to save it. There's no point in saving it. Happy days. Whilst we're here, we're going to add autosave to database. I've just decided. So we're going to come back out to our, and we are going to do some save. So we need another checkbox, and we're going to dab it here. We're going to come over to properties. We're going to hit checked. We're going to hit the thing as auto save database. Like that. Just decided this would be a good idea to add this whilst we're here. So we're going to call this auto save database checkbox. Oh, and we forgot to consult this, which is a bit of oversight by me. So first of all, we need to go back and we need to check. Right. So before all of this, we need to do if equals dot checked is equal to false. So if it's not checked, which by default it should be, but you might have changed it in your code, then we want to begin. And instead of pressing enter up there, we're going to press enter down here. And that will encase everything we've just done inside the begin and end. So if we have it as auto load checkbox, it will. Now if auto load database, no, is it? No, we're doing auto save. Did we name it auto save? We did. Auto save database checkbox. Auto save database checkbox. Dot checked equals true. Then begin. And we are going to go find. We're going to leave a comment there of nothing. And we're going to go find our button that says save. And that is all we want. So we want this bit. And we need to know where the auto load was from. So the auto load will be in the event on show, probably. I can't remember if I put it on the event on show or on something else. Yes, on show. And we can see that it's loading from current directory / database.dat. So we're going to come up, and nicely, we are sat right here. And we can just copy this name out. So we're going to do that, put it right there, and now we have auto save. So if you accidentally close it, as long as you've got it checked, they'll auto save. Right, so that is all of our excludes saved and our auto database saved. Bonus. I'm going to put a line in there. Next, we are going to move on to the auto load, which is going to be on our form show here. So we're going to come all the way to the end. We're going to put another enter in. And here we're going to do an if. It will be the same checkbox. We called it load and save. No, we need this to be true. If it's true. Sorry guys, I'm making a lot of mistakes this morning. Probably because I'm doing this in the morning. Usually I do this Friday night and then edit it Saturday morning, but I was busy with work last night, so it has to be done this morning. So we're now going to do, we now want to load excludes, and we're going to need 2 of these, and we're going to need to check if the file exists. So we then want to begin, and we're going to dump one of these in here. We're going to leave this blank, and we're just going to copy it just to save time. Hit enter and drop it back in again. This is going to be our 2 files we want, or these 2 list views we're going to repopulate. And lucky for us, you should be able to just do this. And as we mirrored the properties in both, so we just have to change this to file, I think it's file extension, list view, yep, and change this to ext, and we have successfully done that. Now we just need to get the path, because we need to check if the file exists. There's no point in loading it if it there's no point in trying to load it if there's no file. So we're going to grab this and stick it in there. Right. Now we have our load in the same place as our auto load for our database under a different checkbox. So although both the code is in the same procedure, if the checkbox isn't checked, it won't work. But as I have both of mine checked, it should work. And let's give it a go before we move on to resetting the scanner. The resetting the scanner should be fairly quick. It should just be a few lines of code. So autosave database is on, and if we add an extension, we don't want .jpegs to be scanned. Don't ask me why, we just don't. I'm going to add a file that we don't want scanned. And we don't want to scan this putty that's in the root. And now if we close it and reopen it, they should have remained. They do not. Did it make the files? Let's go to this exact version. Go into the debug folder. And it has not made the files. So we now have the ability to load our excluded files and excluded extensions. We're now going to move on to resetting the scan engine. So we are going to drop the function inside of our scan engine unit. As the variables we want to reset are mostly here. Some of them aren't. Some of them are in form 1. So we will have to call form 1. So we're just going to make a simple procedure called reset scan engine. Very simple. Right, so we want to reset the infected count to 0. We want to reset the failed to open to 0. We want to set the file to big to 0. So the variables above us is pretty much what we're setting them back to 0. We want them all to read as they did when we started. Even the number of files we've scanned. We're going to set the current object to nothing. Someone's going to be asking me why bother, because if I remember rightly, it will display that file name first and then change it, which isn't particularly bothersome. But you're making something that you want to do well, and people notice these tiny little things, and if you don't correct them now, sooner or later someone will be like, well, this person doesn't actually care about their software, and they don't have the passion to sit there and correct small faults. So we're now going to reset all of our form 1. So our progress bar, I can't remember what we've named this. This is the important thing of naming things that you'll remember. So our progress bar is scan progress bar, which makes perfect sense afterwards. Dot harm position will be 0. Form 1 dot scan process var dot, I think it's high, dot max equals 0. The minimum already equals 0, so there's no point. So we're now going to reset the edit box to nothing. Form1 dot scan result label back to, I can't remember what it was when we start. The scan result label is n/a. So I don't have a language file in this, which I have in my other projects. So in my other projects, you'd have to go through a lot of language manipulation to get this. So we need to know what. So we want to do the files count, which is number of files display. So we do that next. We should be able to have hinted this on number of files display dot caption equals 0/0. And what's next up? We done current object, didn't we? No. So as you can see, we're going through and slowly resetting, or we're not slowly resetting. We are resetting each and every string displayed here. So number of viruses detected. Detected. So we're going to reset this to 0. Scan result already done. Scanner state. And I think the default state for that is idle. Right, so if I have done everything, we need to clear our list view. Our results.list view. Now someone is going to be screaming at their screen saying, oh yeah, but I want to see my results. Well, you'll see your results. This function will be called at the start of the scan procedure. So up until the point at which you click scan again, everything will be shown again. Oh no, we don't want to do that one then. Right. So that's now done. It resets everything bar our loaded database signatures. So we're going to jam this up here. And now we've jammed this up here, we can now call it. So we're going to double click on our scan button. And up here, we can now, I don't know if we reset infected count. We did. So we can take out infected count and just put reset scan engine. Right, so now, actually what we're going to do is we're going to put this after the choose button dialog. Right here, with the rest of the resets. We already do clear it. So we have an issue. And we're running. So for this, I'm going to add, just for this test, I'm going to add to exclude RAR files and zips, so that our scanner runs nice and quickly. And we're going to scan our folder we always scan, which is our YouTube folder. But remember, we have PuTTY excluded, so PuTTY shouldn't turn up. So we have our SCAR test file, and normally we would get 3 signatures. So we would get PuTTY via I think it's via MD5 and then by hex, because we don't call exit, which we might add later on. It's a really simple fix, but for the purposes of these videos, I would rather leave it so that it detected it with both. You know, very simply because it then shows that both of them are still working. So we have almost finished our scan. We've finished our scan. So all of our labels still work. We can still see there's a file. Purely to show you the difference, we're going to clear that. And we are going to now scan again. Now we've detected PuTTY instantly, which, you know, we were expecting. And there you go, there's the other PuTTY signature. And we've detected our SCAR test file again, but more importantly, our bar reset to 0, our current object reset to 0, our total count reset to 0, our current count reset to 0, and the number of files infected, as well as all the other buttons, reset to their default value. Which means that you can just sit here, keep scanning files. It'll keep making reports, unfortunately. I am tempted to add a delete button, add a delete all button somewhere. But we're now come to the end of the scan. And happy days. We have finished scanning everything. All of our buttons reset. They were reset to the right place. We didn't have too many issues. I have cut out a lot probably by now. By the time you guys see this, I've cut out a lot of the debugging. It takes up like, you know, 10 minutes of the video, and that would have made it massively long. As for episode 10, I have an absolute stunner of an announcement. I have been given permission by my boss to develop in my work time a DLL API, so a dynamic load library API, for this YouTube series. And someone's going to be asking in the background, you know, why, what's it for, what's it do? Well, he hasn't given me permission to use the current scan engine, but he has given me permission to use one of our older scan engines in the API, which will mean that it will come with some hysteric and generic detection algorithms built in, some suspicious algorithms built in. It will come with its own database, it will come with its own signatures, and what will happen is you will simply, in the next episode, I will simply show you how to add an external function from a DLL, show you where to get it, and you will then be able to use signatures that you haven't had to make, as well as you will be able to get updates without updating your software. The DLL will come with its own standalone updates. It will call out, it will connect, it will find its update, it will pull down a new database, and we're currently just going to leave it as a community database. So it will pull down a community database, and it will massively increase the number of files you detect. We have some ideas on pushing it forward, so adding memory scanning, adding process scanning, things along them lines, just because they're too complicated to do it in one video. Some of the methods we use to scan are not simple. Some of the methods we use to detect files are not simple, and therefore we think this is one of the best ways to do it, is to start a community gateway, have it where users, programmers can build their software. It will be multi-language because it's a DLL. As long as the language allows you to load a DLL and call the DLL, it should be, you know, it should work. yeah, and it will massively increase your capability. So at the minute you scan and you only have what database files you have stored in here, we'll be adding a checkbox that will auto load the DLL. I haven't actually finished making it yet, so there is still some things to do, and we are determined to make it so that it should be easy to pick up. So you'll call a function, and it will be called external scan, and that will then return your result quite simply, which yeah, will be great. It will massively increase your detection. So until then, and I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed this episode. Until next time, if you enjoyed it, smash the like button. I do appreciate it. It does make my time a little more worth it. So until then, see ya.